Let me just change my background music. It's a puto bumbong eh. So kailangan natin medyo something light this holiday season. So magandang umaga, good morning, wherever you are, to my friends, compatriots in the markets and in sports. I hope you're doing fine with you and your families and loved ones around you this holiday season. Just a brief suggestion to take it easy and the drinking, the eating in moderation. Of course, don't forget to take your turmeric as an antithesis to the toxicity that that surrounds you, whether it's food, or drinks, or people. So you need that's something ano yan eh, parang anting-anting or shield to keep you up and running approaching 2020. Now, this is just a brief background on capital markets in general. Uh, I'd start with the cryptocurrency or the blockchain space. That the recent happening is that of the ECB or European Central Banker Christine Lagarde taking notice on the rise of bitcoins and or digital currency, and she asked one of her directors to take a look at it and probably craft a policy or rules for other nations, countries who would like to engage in this new form of currency or settlements or transfer of payments. Because for all we know, cryptocurrency or internet money is simply a new way of sending money from point A to point B. No different from sending an image using your email, your smartphones, or traditional phone, the Nokia 3210. I thought of Nokia 3210 because I think they're trying to revive the brand in the next 4 years. They started recently, but that's for another topic. So in the cryptocurrency, my my trading platform has an alert feature. Simple lang siya. When a price of a currency like Bitcoin hits a particular level with a particular volume, it will alert me a bell. So today, a couple of hours ago, it hit 71.50. So luckily, I was able to fund my Bybit account a few dollars, which is leveraged into 5x. Some people use 10x, 20x, 100x, uh, meaning if you have, for instance, hypothetically, if you have $10,000 and you leverage it to 5x, you have a capital or a playing capital, investing capital of $50,000. So a 1% move is quite significant with a $50,000 position. For some, they use 100x. So at $10,000 would give them the capacity to control $100,000. So if Bitcoin hits 1%, that's around $1,000. If Bitcoin makes 100%, they make $100,000 more. Yeah, they make $10,000 of a 10%. If it doubles, they make also $100,000 using $10,000. But you can Google that on how leveraging works. Now, this Bybit account is a buy and hold strategy. Okay, my other account is a trading account. That BitMEX is a trading account. That's like for me just to get wired in the markets to feel the price action, and at least I get to see the players there because they have a forum that lets you see at the end of the day who was buying, who was selling, the institutionals, the gamblers, the speculators, all the usual suspects are there. Okay, they have a thread in the forum. It's archived in PDF. So there's a process to identify who's moving the cheese, whether it's up or down. Now this one is think of this like a savings or a time deposit with a 3, 4, 5 year maturity. But my commitment maturity for this account is probably 200 days. Why 200 days? Because uh, this February and in May, for Feb, there is a Satoshi Roundtable discussion amongst the miners, the funders, the bankers of this cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin. And in that meeting, just like before, they would, of course, the excitement is approaching the day itself. So approaching the meeting, there would be some pumps and dumps and more pumps. Uh, and then the next event or event driven price is the May 2020 happening. The happening is when the supply of a particular asset or Bitcoin is cut into half. So when there's no supply in the market, just like water, rice, coffee here in the Philippines, uh, prices tend to go up because we all know that when beauty is scarce or when something is scarce, it becomes beautiful. And when it becomes beautiful, people like to get hold of it, get a piece of the pie. So those are two event-driven moments, Feb and May 2020. Now, what happens after those events? My prediction, my bias prediction is Bitcoin will hit certain key levels, which I've also said to milers to send me a bell or a tone. So these key levels is $24,000, $100,000, and the unthinkable $1 million. So the time frame to sit and realize these target prices is between 2020 and 2021. So in between those dates, you may have to experience or stomach a negative 69 to 90% because that's the price you have to pay in order to make a windfall again. Just like those back in the day in 2014 and 2012, they were able to held on from 200 to $60, back to 200 to $1,000, back to 300. It's a wild ride. But those who have staying power, okay, enough capital to average down, and the conviction to stay in the game, are really rewarded big time. Okay, I've seen and I've met some people that are really they think differently compared to before. Me, I got in when it was 700, but I got out because I was scared. Got back in at 2,000, got back out at 8,000. It went to 20,000, went back into 14, made some losses, and now I'm going back at 7,000 levels and with reserve capital at 3,750 because when you look at the cycle of this animal, it always does. When it floors, when the prices when the price stabilizes, it always makes that shakedown of negative 30 to 50%. So the floor recently is 7,000. So I have reserves at 50 to 60%. When the handler or the group of Jihan and the likes, the miners of Acapulco, decides to shake the amateurs, the new fights, okay, to weed out the weak heads, I'd be able to have that confidence to buy at those levels and go for the ride until when it hits 24, 40, 100, 200, and $1 million per Bitcoin. So that's it for Bitcoin. For the equity market, well, for the US market, it has been the healthcare, pharma, that has been making waves and rewarding uh, those who invested in January, Feb of this year. And of course, for the conservative billionaires of the Philippines who have a placement with the Messiah, Warren Buffett, you are in the money at least 20, 35% because Berkshire Hathaway is is like SM Prime of the Philippines. It drives the index of the Dow, the US market, and S&P, the Dow, the Nasdaq, the Russell, Warren and his group of fellows is a market maker or a trendsetter. So congratulations to the few billionaires out there. If you're feeling generous, you could always use a good pair of shoes and probably a some kind of a yacht. Papahiram kayo ng yacht para mag-cruising tayo around Manila, Boracay, Palawan, Punta Fuego. We go scuba diving and maybe treasure hunting in some parts of Palawan. Balita ko marami doon mga sunken treasures doon. Anyway, kidding aside, that's the my sentiment for the US market and I'm taking a position again in the pharma and a bit of robotics and AI. Robotics Well, you can bank on Tesla because it uses robots to build other robots to build cars and the recent Cybertruck. And it has a very nice strategy, the strategy of real estate company here in the Philippines, which is pre-selling items before it really rolls out. But the beauty of his pre-selling, imbes na for other properties in Manila, imbes na hukay na papakita mo sa prospectus and roadshow, nagpakita siya ng proof of concept or proof of work. He has some, it's a working model that people can feel, can touch, and experience the dream in the future. Now, for the local equities, the PSE, for the active traders, we all know that there were 60 this year, 29. There were 60 companies that doubled, and there are probably five or six that more than doubled. But on a 4 year, for a 2 year or 18-month holding period since 2018, some made 400, 600 to 800%. Of course, it don't go up in a straight line. It needs to correct because the funder or the sponsor at the all-time low or the 2 year low needs to retire and get his capital with a decent amount of profit. And of course, next batch comes in, next banker, next sponsor comes in, and does do what they do best, which is market making and providing good liquidity, volatility, and opportunity for traders and opportunity for long-term investors with a staying power of 4 to 8 years. Because in a 4 to 8 years, if you look back, super stocks, the next blue chips, they give you 100 to 200%. You just need to advise your broker or trader that when it hits a certain level from the all-time low, it needs to roll over or retire part of the capital or retire everything and then wait for the next batch of the next wave. Because in a year, we have 2 to 3 rallies. Okay? The first quarter, and then after the correction, sometime June, July, August, and then before the Christmas rally, there's a pre-Christmas rally, November, December, and of course the all-time sweet spot for fund managers to go heavy is this December. The window is quite tricky. It's between December 10 to December 15, so that's the window of uncertainty. But for those who have been in the market since the 90s, it has been the retirement or the settlement of placements and the new account opening of new recruits or new investors, whether it's insurance, funds from insurance, funds from friends, whatever kind of fund, even from foreign direct investors who'd like to participate in our president's build, build, build in the next 4 years, even after his term. Just like the build, build, build or the public-private partnership of GMA, the ones that really benefited were the ones who stayed until Pinoy's time. And in the history of markets since our President Marcos, it was GMA, Ramos, FBR, and Pinoy that really made ridiculously, obscenely a lot of money. Okay, these were the likes of JG Summit, Semirara, DMCI, 7-Eleven at 69 cents, at 1 peso. When it hit 50, 100, 200, they provided a good life to the relatives tsaka mga extended kaanak. And notably, first 4 years of a decade is an opportunity and a chance of a lifetime, not for you or yourselves, but for the next of kins to have a beautiful life, a comfortable life, and a meaningful one. So the stock picks, of course, if you'd like Davao stocks or the stocks of Dennis Angoy and Uncle James, the friend, you can pick Chelsea Logistics, which is now at a discount, ISM. Okay, but if you don't find it attractive enough because the stock is laggard, it's even down by 40, 50%, you can always pick the other one, the others, like IRC is also build, build, build. Greenergy is also ATN, San Miguel, but that's a blue chip. It's already too high. It came from 47 cents. It's now at 150. You got left behind. So we look for the next 45 cents 20 years ago, but not 45 cents. 45 cents 20 years ago, if you do a time value of money, that 45 cents is around 4 peso or at least below 5 pesos or 10 pesos. So the 10 below 5 peso is Mega White at 5 pesos or 8 pesos 2, 3 years ago. Wilton at 6 pesos or 8 pesos 2 years ago when it launched, when IPO. DNL 4 years ago. So these are the next blue chips. And the next blue chips will make you 1,000, 2,000% in 5 to 10 years. A next blue chip that has global presence or has businesses across the seas will make you 3 to 5,000%. So Ayala is a blue chip, has been a blue chip with local presence in the last, since it was at 10 pesos, but now when it hit 40 pesos, it launched property acquisition Indonesia. There's one also in Myanmar. So they have two presence in our Southeast Asia neighbors, Myanmar, in Yangon, and Indonesia. In Indonesia, I think they only have 20%, but in Myanmar, they already acquired 30 plus 2. They already have the swing vote, meaning they can send in their managers to uh, to make suggestions or maybe changes. So that's the criteria for a blue chip that will make 3,000 to 5,000%. Just look at ICT when it was at 69 cents. Wala pa silang offshore operation in Africa, in Latin America, wala pa sa Senju ba yun? Or in Korea, wala pa. They only have local. And then, who is it? Tugs has one in Vietnam. There's a change of, there's a reorg now, so it's resetting back to 1 peso and 10. If you're ambitious enough to get below 1 peso, good for you, off books or off market. Because if you want a significant position, you have to call the broker, the designated broker, and seek for an audience with the CEO or the board that if you want to buy a block or a board seat, 5%, 10%. So 5% of market caps around 1 to 5% of, let's say, 5% of 1 billion. It's wait, of what's the market cap of Tubes? I think it's 1 point. Give me a couple of seconds. Edge, edge. Let's look at the market cap of Tubes. I look at market cap because market cap gives me a contrast of other companies, because I also look at market cap of other companies. So Tubes, Arbor Star, 975. So a block or a board seat, say 5%, because 5%, if you buy 5% of the total cap of the company, they need to disclose. But sa mga magagaling, less than 5%, para walang disclosure, still accumulate. But if you don't have the patience, because first quarter storm, everyone is like dressing up the companies. Para may ano yan eh, may fashion show yan eh. So pagandaan yan. So you want to get in below 1 peso, 975 times 0.05, you need 48 million pesos just to get a board seat. This is good. This is like a good price. 48, 48 million pesos worth of Arbor Star at 110 below. So if the CEO decides to give 48 million, layer bids at the open market all the way to 80 cents, it can go back to 80 cents. But if they can cross it, then it'll be stable at 1 peso. So either way, buy at spot, and for a retail trader, buy at spot. For a whale, called Abacus, or I think Abacus or Citysec, the equity desk, the designated capital markets strategies of this issue. So that's how whales get on board and make 45% of 40 million. That's This is enough for them for a 1 year, 2 year holding period. Let's go back to my Bitcoin. So Bitcoin now is 71.72. It'll be stable probably today, tomorrow. I'm looking at the mempool size. This is what I'm looking at, the mempool size in Bitcoin, because the mempool size tells me the liquidity that's going in to be approved by the miners, and then once it's approved, it goes to your wallet. When it goes to your wallet, it goes to the trading account. So there's a process, there's a lead time and a throughput time, di ba? May ano yan, may lead time yan to get this transaction process. So the more applicants, sign-ups, the traffic is getting heavy. So for now, ito umakyat siya. Oh. So umakyat siya in December recently yan. But if you look at the all-time liquidity of Bitcoin application, bagal. December and September, it gives a high, malaki yung ano yan, malaki yung mempool size activity. There. See, November, pakyat. So as early as November, people are applying, but for the disciplined ones, they buy September, November, December, and then they stop buying. They sit on it for the next 12 months and 18 months, and that's the time they condition their minds when to get out. Because once the price action of this animal, let's say this one, once the price action of this animal starts to go up, immediately mahirap na bumili. Maghahabol ka. And we all know when bawal maghabol dito. Experience this. Yeah, that one. That's from 3,000 to 20,000 in just April, May, June, July, August. 4 months. But if you want to look at the all-time the Greater Bull Run, the recent Greater Bull Run, from here to here, what a beautiful glorious walrus. Okay? 7,000%, 16, 17. 1 year holding period. But this 1 year, it's just like one season of Vikings, one season of Gossip Girl, one season of, what's the recent one? Um, the originals, if you're into vampires. Now, for the local equities, the PSE is, let's see. I have a thing with charting. I use a black background because it's more pronounced. So for the PSE, let's look at a couple of stocks. Let's look at Ayala Land because everybody likes Ayala. It's a safe haven. If everything goes to in chaos, if there's a coup, if there's war, there's threat of a chairman going to jail, Ayala is a safe haven. So looking at Ayala, it has been always the major trend or the secular trend is always up there. And what happens if this goes down, Jan? It will have to stabilize around this area because that's the recent stabilization fund of the company. Yeah. So when you see something like this, when you see something like this, that's base building for the next run up. Ba? Base building for the next run up. So every run up, those who are courageous and strong enough to buy, they make 140%. For this one, wala pang 140, it's only 90%. Oh, meron pang sipa yan. You just have to be patient and first quarter, it normally gives 15 to 25% the index. Now, if the index goes up 1% and the beta of your stock is 1.1, you make 1.1%. If the beta is 1.2, you make it doubles 2%. So the beta is the sensitivity of your stock correlated to the index performance. So another stock would be, let me be biased, I bought Sun because Sun, everybody hates Sun. Even my batchmates back in the 90s, they don't like Sun because they got in at the wrong time at 60 pesos, 80 pesos, all the way to, where was this? 100 pesos. So this is like brutal for most people. See? So if you're here in 1999, okay, you may want to have that revenge trade. The revenge trade is against the religion. But pag hindi mo na kaya, kasi naisahan ka noon, di ba? You close your account or you want to do a revenge trade, you miss this one. Tapos na yan eh. You miss this one because if you were able to get in at 4 cents, 16 cents, you would have made that the recent pump was, you would have made 1,000%, 1,004. So I will discount this recent pump by the doctor and his friends. I will discount that to 500 from the recent base building of Stanho and Sun City Group. This is base building. Base building because there were unusual position players here. Yeah, isa yan, isa yan, isa yan. So these guys, some got out already, but some hindi pa because hindi siya bumalik below 1 peso. But just have a reserve below 1 peso in case the doctor and his friends decide to ram it back down and then do a parabolic back up. Okay? So I got in last week at 1 peso together with Star All and the good looking guys there. Hello. I got in there at around 115 and 118. Okay? The 120, pumarin ako. So if that 120, I can claim that I was one of those fools to have bought at the highs on the last day of trading last Friday. So the recent base is around this area. The base is this area. The base or the cost of the handler is this area. So at that area, I will have to count because most of them with the heavy hitters, they get out at 45%. So from here, may lumabas na dito. Okay, but I'm discounting that 1,400 to 700%. So at 6 pesos, this is just rough estimate or 6. Gawa natin ng eksakto para at least pwede sa korte eksakto. 6.0. Yeah, 6 pesos. At 6 pesos, I'm out. That's around, so from 120, I'll make 390%. So this 300% potential, I'll break it down. I'll get out here, here, and here. So I'll take my capital somewhere here, leave the rest there. So that's my strategy for a stock that cannot be charted but can only be felt using the volume in the last 3, 4 years and 5 years. Because whales, they have a commitment of 5 to 8 years to return back the money of those who funded. Okay? So if you're a CEO, you solicited funds from a whale, you have 8 years grace period to give it back with a decent return of at least 100%. Because if you put that with Odyssey, Sun Life, Manulife, Insular, you put in your 100,000, it goes back to you 200,000 after 8 years. Okay. So one last stock, ISM, ang telco ng bayan. Or now, let's do ISM. If you have time, let's do now. So where is ISM now? Where is ISM last Friday? I use, by the way, the monthly because the monthly gives you a more definitive direction or sentiment of the market. So this was the run up. Okay, it broke down. So it's destined to go back somewhere here because this is base building. The cost, yan ang cost ng hinete o ng jockey, 1.60. So plus 45% yung labas ng bankero dyan. So he got out at 220. And then 100%, he took his capital here. He took his capital here. It's difficult to chart online. He took his capital here and left everything on the way up. So he's selling every breakdown. Okay? So lock in position, lock in position. Okay? If this goes here, he will sell again. And then of course, this is like a change of banker or a change of recruits. New recruits coming in, probably here. Tapos, we'll do another parabolic based on the rollout, the progress of ISM and Dennis Angoy. Because Dennis, okay, dito, may usapan na sila yan. Pero, he disclosed he got in at 1 peso. So, if he got in at 1 peso, he'll be selling here. So that the gains he got here will be used to fund the cut loss of the public, of the gamblers. That normally happens at the end of the week and the end of the month because gamblers, they borrow money at 1-3% overnight or a weekly. And then if they're able to pay, if they're not able to pay the broker, uh, the broker will do a forced liquidation or a margin call. Iwasan nyo yan. That's like for dead capital or for those who have preferred Intel. They borrow money to play the volatility or the news. So last would be now. Okay, yun lang muna because I have to set up my place tomorrow. There's a small party amongst friends here. So I have to clean the house. Kasi wala kami, I'll be housekeeping. I'll be doing housekeeping. Okay. So now, where is now? So this is Smart Money. This is Tito Mel Velarde and the good president, FBR. Dito sila. Dito sila. So they got in here. Ito ICTB, Schroeder, Money Changers, a different company, okay? And then I think he sold buy and trade license to Globe. He made a huge money, so he started to incorporate this, change name to Now, and then word got around. Okay, Wales from Security Bank, Ang Ping, Timson, CitySec Online, the whales there, they took notice of this. You don't see this. You don't see this. You only see this, right? So if you magnify that, if you magnify that, this is like these are significant position players. So that's like an alert or a buzz. Something is about to take change or to happen. So this is the friends of Mel. By the way, good job Instagrams. Okay. The team of Instagrams. Good job with the platform, providing free tools to the Filipinos uh, across the world. It's one of the best platform or charting platform when you like to look into not just local, but you want to see BTC. There's Bitcoin there. If you want to see stocks, there's let's say if there's Tesla, wala pang Tesla, Tesco lang. If there's Berkshire, there's Berkshire Hathaway. No, Berkshire lang. But for local market, there's everything that you need. Like now, yeah, PSE. So where are we now with Mel's super stock? He has a commitment at around 750 to preferred shareholders. This is like a redemption price because some people got in here, di ba? They got in here. Ito yon, ito yon. They got in here, but they get dividends every year or payable for 2 times a year. I'm not updated because I don't really look at the dividend policy of this company. I just look at the monumental changes like they tied up with the Korean 5G company. Okay, they're into fiber. They're into I'm still waiting for the progress of Aboiti's group on going into fintech or blockchain, because once that happens, if Tito Mel and Miguel Aboitis and his group times it well during the bull run of crypto and rolling out or doing a roadshow on now Aboitis doing blockchain, this will be like huge. My original forecast for this company is 35 pesos, but that's a long shot. So we are now here. Ito lang, base building, base building. So you can make 4 pesos, which is quite minimal. Minimal na yan, minimal. 150%. But for those who got on board here in 2014, you know who you are. You made 5,000% if you were able to ride that wave. But I know for some they got out here. Most of them got out here. So that's it for local, global, and the space. And I wish you well 2020. Um, if you got stuck, or for the lack of a better word, scammed at the all-time high, do not worry, because they always go back to the mean or to the median. Classic example is this one. Okay, the all-time high was 450, but of course it needs to be depressed by 90%, and eventually, if you have reserves at the lowest of the lows, all-time lows, you'll be able to make break even and make significant gains if you can average down or triple down. Okay, just take it easy, put in debt capital, do not borrow money to trade, to invest. Just put in 10-15% of your salary. If you're a retiree, stay away from super stocks, stick with Ayala Land, Security Bank, GT Cap, and East West, the undervalued bank of banks. Bank of banks, because East West, or the group of Auntie, Uncle, Auntie Josephine K, oh, Joseph Gutiano, that's Mercury Drug. They were the lenders of last resort during the Asian crisis. So East West is undervalued for me, right? So that's about it. I hope that I covered a bit of everything for you to take notice on how these markets work and how the calendar or the demand schedule of industries pans out. Okay? First, it's thematic, anchored to the build of a country with significant volume, unusual volume. You see this volume, yan, mga ganyan, before the pump. And of course, when it pumps to 200, 300%, our very own journalists and analysts will appear on television and forums to spread the good news of the company that is dazzling. That's your cue to roll over. When you see someone on TV, on forums, on newspapers, you still have 100 to 150% upside. So that's your cue to take some profits and reward yourself with something that would last forever, like probably a travel to an island or to some country, the Holy Land, or some jewelry to remind you that this was born out of staying power, uh, loneliness, depression, sadness, and of course, redeeming yourself in the coming greater bull run. Until then, this is your friend Senior wishing you just the best. Take care and good luck.